It's your favourite Atomic Blonde here with a Pop Chat special for Nosferatu. So I finally got to go see Nosferatu. In fairness, it didn't come out to the 1st of January here in the UK. And as you all know, I was very, very ill last week. So finally managed to get to the cinema this week to watch it. Again, if you obviously were been watching the reviews over the last few weeks, you know I was very excited about going to see Nosferatu. But did it live up to expectations? Well, I find just before I get into it, like Eggers a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, some people absolutely rave about him and his films. I think he's a very Marmite director. You know, you either get his stuff or you don't. Or his films from a look and cinematography are always fantastic. There's some stuff of his I like, some stuff I don't. I mean, I'll be very, very honest and a bit of a heathen, I'm sure, but I couldn't even finish The Lighthouse. I was so bored. I probably got about halfway through and I was just like, what is this film? And I know some people absolutely rave about that film, and that's great. I love it when people get stuff out of things that you don't necessarily. I mean, that's the whole point of having different genres and, you know, different tastes. Like, as I always say on here, if we all like the same thing, it'd be boring, right? So absolutely kudos. Maybe I should go back to it and try it again. I don't know. So with that in mind going in, I mean, I was very excited for this because I think I've talked on the show before. I mean, I love my kind of like, you know, especially coming from the UK, you were just brought up on Hammer horror films, that very gothic style. And obviously like Byron and Mary Shelley or that kind of thing. I mean, I've read Dracula, I don't know how many times. And I've always loved that sort of genre of cinema. So for someone coming out to remake Nosferatu, which obviously was one of the very, very early films that was made, and there's all that urban legend around it that the film itself is cursed and it's an actual vampire on screen, and Bram Stoker's widow. So they actually had evil in the film, and that's why all the copies were destroyed. And how much that is true or not true, I don't know. It's one of those things where you almost like don't care because it's just such a fantastic story. And obviously they didn't have the rights, I think, as it was to make Dracula, hence why it's basically the plot of Dracula, but they've all got like different names. You know, it's not Dracula, it's Count Orlek and got Eleanor instead of or Ellen instead of Mina, etc., etc. So that's why I was excited to see this. Plus, you know, I knew it was going to look amazing based on previous Eggers films. So getting into it, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, to be fair. I was just mulling over. I think it's 2 hours 20, I think, off the top of my head. And actually that time goes pretty quickly. I was, as I've said on this channel, I'm not great with long films in the main. Obviously, if it's a good film and there's stuff going on, it holds your attention, the time just flies. And certainly with this film, the pacing was good. There's just a couple of places where it just dipped a little bit and you're just a little bit like, okay, let's move on from this now. But overall, pacing, very, very good. So tick in the box. Visually, it is absolutely stunning. And another one of the differences between this and Dracula is this is set in Germany. Obviously, still Transylvania. That's where the Count's from, but the main characters are in Germany, not London. And that sort of recreation of, you know, sort of turn of the century Germany looked absolutely amazing. It's got this kind of blue hue to all the visuals. You know, it's got this very oppressive feel. It's very atmospheric, and I absolutely love that. So pretty much from the get-go, absolutely pulls you into this world that Eggers has built. you know, you're completely immersed into this sort of turn of the century place, or late 18th century place, and the costumes, the settings are just absolutely stunning, absolutely stunning. So this, like I said, Nosferatu basically follows this kind of the story of Dracula. So Nicholas Hoult, who plays Thomas in this, who's the equivalent of Jonathan Harker, is working for a firm of solicitors. In this one, that he's just got married. He's got married to Ellen, who is Lily Rose Depp. He's just going back to work, and he's to be sent away to this count for him to. He's too ill to travel. So, but he wants to buy some properties in Germany, and he kind of wants to live out his final days in Germany. And what we find very, very early on is that Ellen has these sort of visions or portents or omens, these dreams, and she's like terrified of him going away. Something really bad's going to happen if he goes. And obviously everybody's very sort of skeptical, and they just kind of put it down to she had some sort of childhood trauma. And they, you know, what we'd probably call, she suffers from melancholy and nerves, which is obviously terms for basically mental health issues back in the day. So her character's from the outset is a little bit kooky, and I have to say I thought Lily Rose Depp actually done a very, very good job with this character. It was quite believable. I know there was some concerns about her having this role and whether she's got the role because of her name, but actually I think she proves in this that she can act. I mean, I've not really seen her in anything else to bench it against, but I thought her and Nicholas Hoult together worked really, really well. There's good chemistry there. Nicholas Hoult was fantastic. I think he's like the best thing in the film. You know, when he's actually over in Transylvania and he meets the Count, and he's absolutely petrified, and he plays that so well. I mean, you can literally feel the fear coming off the screen. It was done so well. He's a great, great actor. Looking forward to seeing him in Superman, obviously. And I think the big difference between sort of Nosferatu and Dracula is Dracula was very much a gothic, almost romance novel. You know, this whole thing between, especially if you watch the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula, which I love. It's very much a love story between sort of Mina and the Count. At the end of the day, this is not romantic or a love story. She's really kind of been groomed from a little girl by this Count, and he is disgusting in every way, shape, or form. The performance from Bill Skarsgård, I mean, this is absolutely his niche. She's like playing these monsters. And the vocal performance, the body performance. I mean, this guy is like rotting. The way they've done him is he looks more like kind of like Vlad the Impaler rather than the what most people know as Nosferatu. The sort of bald head and the weird teeth and the sort of pointy ear kind of thing. So it's almost like a bit more believable that this guy, he's almost dressed like in this sort of Russian furs, and he looks like he was a nobleman, but like I say, now he's just kind of rotting and absolutely disgusting in every way, shape, or form, and very intimidating. And you can see why just looking at him and his voice. He's got this really, really bad like wheeze kind of thing going on, but you can see like he is absolutely terrifying. So it completely works, you know, when Thomas is frightened of him, because you believe it. I mean, this guy is like all kinds of wrong. Then obviously it kind of plays out that obviously the Count is slowly draining Thomas's blood. He's forced to sign a document, which we later find out is a covenant, which is basically saying, yeah, you can have my wife, but she has to agree voluntarily. It's all written obviously in sort of Transylvanian, or he says it's my native ancient tongue, so he hasn't got a clue what he's signing, but he knows it's bad. And then obviously the Count's then trying to kill him because he wants his wife for himself, but he manages to escape. He falls into the river, which again is same as Dracula. Nuns find him. Meanwhile, the Count is heading across to Germany. And the difference here as well is that the crew on the ship do die, but basically the Count is because he's just more pure evil, is how he's kind of described. He's like death, pure evil, that he brings the plague with him. Basically, once he gets to the town, the ship crashes and the place is just infested with rats. And just over the course, like, people are just, within days, there's just bodies piling up in the streets, and everything's going really, really, really badly. This all kind of culminates in obviously the people around her being killed. You've then got the other sort of main leads in this are sorry, I'm just making sure I get everybody correct. No, my brain is just terrible. So Aaron Taylor-Johnson, he's on a bit of a run of films at the moment, obviously. He plays Frederick Harding. He's kind of, I guess, the closest is Homewood, Lord Homewood, I guess, kind of. But he's basically this very rich gentleman who owns a shipping company, and his wife is Emma Corrin, who most people will know from House of the Dragon. And they have like 2 kids she's expecting, and he's like best friends with Nicholas Holt's character Thomas. And this is also where we get introduced to William Dafoe, who's Professor von Franz, who's obviously Van Helsing. And then we got Ralph Fiennes, who are, unfortunately for him, will always be in my heart Finchy from The Office, who plays Dr. Sievers. So that's basically the core cast. All really, really good performances. Probably the weakest out of all of them, unfortunately, is Aaron Taylor-Johnson. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's almost like he's not quite in period, I think, is the only way I can really describe it. Whereas Nicholas Holt and the others really feel like they are from the turn of the century, and I don't know if it's how he speaks or the tone. It's just something isn't quite there. It's not that it's a bad performance, but I say he just feels a little bit out of place, where everybody else absolutely feels like they're part of that period. So that sort of took you out of it a little bit, but by all means, it doesn't ruin the film. You're not sitting there going, "Oh, I can't watch this man." He's just not quite as, I don't know, adopted that kind of persona from that time, is the only way I can really describe it. If you've seen it, love to know your thoughts on that. Am I just like, I didn't see that myself, or do you agree? Do leave a comment on that. So obviously it sort of climaxes to how to kill this Count, and William Dafoe's character von Franz is into sort of, he's like a disgraced professor now. He got very much into mysticism and the occult alongside science, but he basically got like sort of thrown out of university, saying that he's just lost his mind. He's a quack. And he understands that the only way to break this curse is that she has to agree to go to the Count, and she's the only one that can end this. I'll leave it at that, because there'll be spoilers. I don't want to ruin the ending for you, but towards the run, like, everything's just going to pot, really. And there's a scene with Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and he goes to the crypt to visit his wife's grave, crypt and the children's. And then you kind of see this shot, and you kind of go, "Oh no, he didn't, did he? Oh, I think he did. Oh," and it's just showing like how things have just completely devolved, and people are losing their minds, and they're dying of plague at the time, and this kind of level of debauchery, or not even debauchery, but this level of evil that's been brought with it, this Count. So overall, I thought it was very well done, very enjoyable to watch. Because even though you know the story, it still grips you. I think that because the world building is so good, and to say in the main the performances are very, very good. You are sucked into this world, and even though you kind of know what's going to happen, you're still there with the characters. You're still, and again, until you watch it, I think a lot of people had said, look, it's pretty much beat for beat the original in lots of ways. But until you actually watch it, you go, is it going to end the same way? Not sure. And obviously, with what you can get away with on screen now, even if the ending's the same, it's probably more better illustrated, shall we say? So anyway, I could kind of give away too many spoilers. It wouldn't have been portrayed in the way that it is in this film that you would have seen in the original. It's far too graphic. So I thought overall definitely worth a watch, and I'd say definitely worth going to the cinema for, because like the cinematography is absolutely stunning. It's just a beautiful film to watch, as most Eggers films are. Overall, wasn't disappointed at all, actually, because I say I had quite high expectations for this, and quite often you kind of come out and go, yeah, it's all right, but and I know this film is being completely Marmite out there, but I think most Eggers films are. If everybody came out and said they loved it, I'd be shocked, because he's just not that kind of filmmaker. Either you like it or you don't. A lot of the pacing for this was, I would say, much better than his other films for me. That's why I tend to struggle with some of his other films, even though, like The Witch, even though it's good, it's very, that was hard work for me to get through that. So yeah, pleasantly surprised at the pacing. Great performances pretty much across the board, apart from, I feel bad picking on Aaron. It wasn't, like I said, it's not that he wasn't good. He just sort of acted, it just felt like he was acting like it's set now, rather than back in the past. There was just something way like he carried himself, and I don't know, it's something that's just a little bit not quite right. But overall, really enjoyed this film. If you are gothic horror, this is right up your street. I think if you like more sort of slasher, Terrifier type things, I don't know if you're going to like this, because it's maybe you can watch full stories, but if you're into sort of guts and gore, there's a little bit in here, but that's really not what it's about. It's about the characterization. Anybody who's watched Dracula or read Dracula, you know what it's about. It's about the relationships and the friendships, and what would you sacrifice, and all those kind of things, really. So I think it's an absolutely brilliant achievement. Really enjoyed it. Would absolutely watch it again. We'll definitely be getting it on 4K. So yeah, pleasantly surprised, actually. Not that I thought it was going to be bad. I just wasn't sure, mainly from a pacing point of view, whether I'd enjoy this or not. Especially when I saw it was like 220, I'm like, oh. But it really doesn't feel like that. It goes very, very, very quickly. And say I was literally, from the opening shots, I was completely sucked into this world, and that's an amazing achievement. And the visuals are just so beautiful and so stunning. If you could probably, there's a few shots where I was like, God, if I could just get that as a still, I'd have that on my wall. I'd have that as a picture. It's absolutely breathtaking. So fantastic achievement. I really loved it. I don't think it will be for everybody. I think some people just find it boring, if I'm honest, like a lot of Eggers films. Like I say, I find some of these films very, very boring. But I would say, if you say you love your gothic horror, certainly if you love the Dracula and the original Nosferatu, definitely go watch this. Great performances, very enjoyable, and I'm just really chuffed that there's a film that I was looking forward to so much that I've actually really enjoyed as well. So absolutely great start to 2025. Let's hope the rest of the films that I'm looking forward to go so well. There was actually another trailer for Monkey with a little bit more in it, which is obviously one of the films I'm looking forward to, coming out, I think, 21st of February, with Theo James. So that does look gory. I think if you like Terrified, you probably will like Monkey if it's good. So anyway, Love to know your thoughts as always. Have you been to see the film? What did you think of it? How do you think it compares to other Nosferatu films, or even against Dracula? Which one's your favourite? Like I say, I love the Francis Ford Coppola version of Dracula. I think it's one of the best ones we've ever had. And then I bet they're a bit, to be fair, you can't, these are a bit like apples and oranges. And that's why I can love both of them, because the theme almost, even though it's the same story, and this is why it's absolutely brilliant. It's the same story, but the way it's portrayed and the nuances and the slightly different direction, they're like they're two completely separate things that you can enjoy either. I think if you like the more romantic, light-hearted, definitely go for Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola. If you like the more darker, Mary Shelley, Byron type stuff, Nosferatu's the one for you. So, as ever, please, oops, that didn't help. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Welcome to all the new members. There's been a few over Christmas. I guess people have had time to sit down and actually watch some streaming. So welcome aboard. Love to know your thoughts. And what are you looking forward to past this film? So do you think 2025 is going to be a good year for films? Is it going to be another mid? Is it the start of something good? Love to know your thoughts. So I'll be back with some just general pot chat. There's a few things springing out, and obviously thoughts to everybody in Los Angeles at the moment. I have a friend who lives out there, so thankfully she's traveling. She's not there, but she doesn't know whether she's going to have a home to come back to when she comes back. So, and obviously the streamers out there, R&B, Chris, Alaning, I think he's a bit further out though, but yeah, obviously there's quite a few people that we follow. So thoughts with you all, please stay safe, and you all take care now, okay? Bye-bye.